If you're someone who has pain when you walk, you've been doing a lot of various rehabilitation exercises to improve your mobility and posture, but you notice it's not sticking, this is an important video for you. Because besides upping our step count to improve our health and well-being, there are some movements that should happen when we walk. I hesitated to put out this video, and the reason why is because walking generally should be an unconscious process. You basically want to hate Sting, the singer in this case. You don't want to think about every breath you take or every move you make. And sometimes people can get a little obsessive about walking in a certain way. But if you are someone who hurts when you walk, the strategies I'm going to provide you will be uber important. In fact, there's 3 things that I coach people to think about from time to time when it comes to walking. If you do these 3 things, it will improve a lot of the normal biomechanics that should happen when you walk, and a lot of times can make walking more comfortable. But before I tell you what those 3 things are, we have to understand what normal walking is. And walking is basically a series of rotations that we use to move forward. And they happen throughout the body. When you step forward with your left leg, your entire spine is more rotated to the right. That includes the pelvis, the thorax, everything. And you're going to be swinging your right arm forward in consequence. When we walk, it's opposite arm, opposite leg. That forward arm swing is what encourages the turn of the spine into the opposite direction. This promotes the normal rotations we should see with walking. We also see rotation happen through the foot. Your arch normally gets bigger and smaller and bigger as you move through the gait cycle. This supination, pronation, and supination is a rotation that happens through the foot. And it's also why our foot strike changes from the outside heel in the beginning towards the middle part of the heel, up the first ray to the base of the big toe, and then finally pushed off through the toe. This is a rotational action that happens through the foot. So when we walk, we want to do things that promote this normal rotation. And the first place it starts is where you're looking. Your eyes will dictate the position of your head and your neck. If you are someone who is looking down constantly when you walk, this will actually limit the amount of rotation that you'll be able to perform. You can try this on yourself. Go ahead, look out as far as you can, and rotate your torso normally. Do the same thing, but now looking down. You'll notice it'll feel a little bit more stiffer and restricted. And that's because when you look down, your body produces more internal rotation. Internal rotation is associated with increased muscle activity. If there's more muscle activity, there's less ability to rotate. Just like if I stiffen my grip and I try to move my wrist, it doesn't move as well as when my hand is completely relaxed. So the cue that I use with people is to think about looking as far out to the horizon as you can. Notice what is going on in the external environment. This will help you keep your head up so you can promote rotation throughout the spine. Also too, if you're one of those people who is constantly focusing on what you are feeling, you're someone who notices a lot of aches and pains everywhere, it gives you a good opportunity to stop focusing so much on your body and to the external environment. A lot of times that distraction can reduce symptoms. Moving on down, the second thing that I coach people when they walk is arm swing. As I mentioned earlier, your spine normally rotates back and forth when you walk. Much of this is driven through the arm swing. In fact, it is the arm swing that moves your body forward. You can use the arm swing to encourage the forward rotation that we should see during gait. You simply want to make sure that your arms are swinging forward in opposition to your feet. So if you're swinging your left arm forward, your right leg should be forward, and vice versa. The cue that I like for this is to pretend that you're John Wayne. Like hell it is. If you are someone who has minimal arm swing, you're going to limit your body's ability to rotate. You might be one of those people who waddles, or maybe only rotate one direction. Swinging your arms a bit more than you typically would can help encourage rotation. We started up top with the eyes. We then went down to the torso. Now let's focus on what you should do through the legs. And we're going to coach that through the foot. As I had mentioned before, we normally have an arch, flatten, arch action that happens when we walk. To encourage this through the foot, we want to look at where our foot contacts the ground as we go through this rotation. There's really two places to think about. When we first contact the ground, we hit the heel. So when you're walking, you want to think about first sensing your heels. From there, as you move forward, you shift your weight to your big toe. That is the second part that I will coach people on with walking. First contact the heel, then rock over to the toe. If you struggle getting that heel to toe contact, a simple fix for that is to practice walking backwards. Have you ever wrestled an alligator? If you want to survive a wrestling match with an alligator, what you should do is extend the alligator's spine. That's because it limits their rotation. The same thing happens when we move forward. As we move forward, we tend to extend more. This limits the amount of rotation we have. Now, it is normal for this extension to happen, but if you're someone who is limited in rotation to begin with, it may be more difficult to hit some of the elements needed to perform the normal rotation that occurs with gait. So if extension limits rotation, moving backwards will expand the backside of the body, minimize that extension from occurring, and that backwards movement allows for more rotation to be available. That's why sometimes it's easier to walk backwards before moving forwards. And you can practice this with loaded carries, making sure that you go at a quick pace, and thinking about the three things that we focused on in this video. Eyes forward, make sure you get arm swing, but then with the foot contact, it will be toe to heel. And if you focus on those three things, where you're looking, your arm swing, and heel to toe contact, chances are walking is going to be a lot more comfortable, but I stress you, it's not something you want to be thinking about all the time. So now that you've mastered walking, maybe you're thinking, oh, Zach, is there a certain way that I should be sitting too? If you wondered that, I'd check out this video right here where I go into a deep dive on sitting posture.